Life can be a strange game. Just when you think you know the rules, they just go and change. I had found myself at a museum, been given free tickets by a friend who could go, who couldn't go, and had thought just to throw them. But with nothing to do, I decided not to waste this opportunity, however boring it might turn out to be. And so the tour began, and I was standing at the front, waiting the crusty old man to begin his bad microphone spiel. But then, round the corner, came this vision that captivated my every attention. The words like angels spoke. Did I hear the melody, but nothing, not the meaning, like a nightingale soulfully tweeting. Her eye, every vision was a dream, and I stood transfixed by her beautiful big eyes, how they struck a chord within my heart. Just one glance could send shivers of recognition down my spine, leaving me many times mouth wide open, left staring when I should have long looked away. But however much I tried to, I could not. She kept talking, and too many times for me not to notice, she would return her eyes and attention to me. So much so in my head I thought that maybe the way I looked upon her was the same as she did me, that our hearts would soon entwine, and a love so beauteous would flourish like the bright, lonely sun in the sunny morning. But when she had finished her spiel, of which not a word could I remember, but that tune, ah yes, the tune I could hear, words never uttered by her, ring in my head, she walked off, without even a glance goodbye. And I was left empty and alone, as all the others had long since left, unimpressed by her, and yet I had found such a moment had come over me, one which could never again be recreated, or at least could only by this girl at the museum. I left the museum, reliving every moment on a corner bench, as if that which had appeared before my eyes was a lover recounting a sonnet. Yet what had I really witnessed came as darker clouds loomed above. It had only been a lady who probably had no interest in me, speaking about the museum pieces to a crowd of over more than 50 people, and I was merely one that she had caught a glimpse of. As I showed interest in her every move, and yet only I could make this into a lover's approach. As the rain came down upon me, and I got soaking wet, I saw through the misty rain-drizzled windows the outline of the girl I had witnessed, whom had taken away with her a part of my heart, with which only she could ever give back, or leave me incomplete. And so, what is a man to do when his heart belongs to another, but to keep on going back for it? And that's exactly what I did do. I would enter into this museum and pay money to get her to talk to me. And there, in this pseudo-friendship, I got her love and attention. And for some time this was merely enough to rekindle my heart and allow me hope. Often I'd raise my arm to ask her a personal question, which I would quickly make up about some piece or other that she would be pointing at. And with that, she'd look towards me lovingly and answer sweetly even my most stupid of questions. But soon, this feeling wore off, as every time I exchanged the money, entered the museum and saw her in front of me, smiling and beaming, I was exactly the same warmth and beauty, and yet, as I sat on that familiar corner bench, I started to reflect upon what was actually happening. The fact that I was paying for warmth and attention, and therefore it was merely an act, a job. If I was to approach her out of this establishment, she wouldn't even give me the time of day. She would speak to me with this kind and warmth, which I would usually pay for and expect. And so what was I really doing here? What a fool I had become. And to prove myself right, as she left for work, I went up to her, not really knowing what to say, but something about her interested I was in what she spoke, and she looked at me in an offish way. And I said something about how I was interested in what she spoke, and she looked at me in an offish way, as if she didn't really want to be bothered with me, until she recognized me from inside, having seen me so many times, and raised a heavy smile, before telling me she was late and had to go. Then she looked down upon me and told me she actually didn't like what she said, how it always bored her every day, and then I raised a heavy smile, and both we did part. And so this fool who loved this girl at the museum could only ever attain his vision of love's splendor by purchasing her time, with which then she'd perform. That's the act my heart I allowed me to believe was the true love I had always craved. Turning to the corner bench in a slump, I prayed for heavy clouds to let their heavy burden down upon me and wash away my stupidity, for in my heart I had kindled a love. Gently I had stroked it till it was a burning passion, a desire. And as she returned for a second shift, I watched the others leaning in a queue, giving over their hard-earned cash to get in, and wondered how many fools like I were paying merely for her time. And with that my heart, with a piece missing, and yet it was with me all the time. I left that girl at the museum with the sorrow of never really knowing what, if anything, had ever passed between us.